Yeah.
You want a piece of cake?
Just
You want a
hand it
piece of
out.
cake?
Hey, listen, I could use, I
We'll
like
make a
cake, but I
trade,
could,
David, we'll
I-
make
I
a
don't-
trade. You send us warm weather, we'll send you cake.
it's only, it's now in the 70s. You got almost that temperature in New
You're
York.
making us jealous. We had snow this morning.
Snow,
Yeah,
The
a
first-
dusting of snow.
And
The
Leil
fir-
Shabbos is supposed to be for 15
the first
degrees.
time.
I know, and Shabbos is gonna, both Shabbos is gonna be about 7.
Leil Shabbos. Leil Shabbos.
Gewalt.
I know. We're
It
gonna
was
come
here
join you in
2
Boca.
years ago, right?
So that's
Yeah,
just
4 or 5 years ago.
Sunday. Sunday.
This is excellent.
Menachem made
It's delicious. But I didn't like it, but I wanted to give it to him maybe for Shabbos. For the Shmulik one day say everybody can take anything you want.
No,
Yeah. Take the other thing, but this is good too.
Give a servant.
It was delicious. And he told me how he did it. It's baked. He didn't do it in the store, across the street. They have a Hungarian store, has that other oven. So you put it in the tray over there.
You haven't
Now
come
in
to the
20
garden
minutes,
yet. Yeah.
put it 7 o'clock. I think.
Would you just put the crumbs on it?
Flavor, yeah. You put it. No, but the crumb already with flavor. Flavored.
It's really good.
Dip it in with the eggs and that's it.
It was very good. It was very good.
Our family made a lot.
Yeah,
And the cold cuts, more nice cold cuts.
he made it the whole thing. Is
Yeah.
very nice. Okay, page Chav Hey.
Almost in there.
Yeah. Basi Legani Sikalo. So there's a beautiful medrash, and I can mention yesterday there was a mimer that the Lubavitcher Rebbe wrote. His father-in-law put it on his desk on a Friday, and on Shabbos he passed away. The Rebbe said that his father-in-law must have left it as a tzavor. Even though he didn't write it as such, but and there's 20 chapters in the mimer. And the Rebbe had a cycle. Every year he would explain us another piece of his father-in-law's mimer. He did that for 20 years and then did that again for 20 years. Now we're in the 4th cycle in Perikut Gimel. We're going to go through beginning very quickly a summary of the mimer.
You didn't say when we're going to stop, and Mashiach will come.
Yeah, that's the plan, exactly.
Soon.
From the Moshe and the Medrash, it sounds that the pshat is that it was always a gan. This world is a gan for the Eibishter. It's a shira shirim, right? Basi Legani Choisekalo. Maybe Kweti was Shemar Lachamado, Arbala Lula, Bamam, Shin, Toyo, the Lom, the Basari Shvat, Minos Nasa, Mining Israel, Toyo, Lom, the Basari Shvat, Koshkan Mashana, Mama, Pirish, Madish, Basi Legani, Legno, Lomok, Shaggy, Kevit Hilla, Dikashan, Tatan Moisa. Kurlamaza attack Nagash Shabbat, Seeker Shin, Bashas Abria, Baka, the Indian, the other Marishan is Talaka, Shin, Mars, Larikia, Rishan, Vedeshes, and built in some Shachas also Shin, Lamala, the Kiashvi. That there were 7 sins. Each sin chased away the Shekhinah to a higher heaven until it went to the 7th heaven. And the Moshe Rabbeinu, the Matan Torah, brought down that the Shekhinah came back to the earth. And that's the pshat in the Pasuk, Basi Legani Achoisi Kalo, it was my garden already. Elamai, the Eibishter was chased away, and the tzaddikim brought him back. That's the medrash. That's the medrash. Tzaddikim Allah abordet bei dem Azatach, in Tach Lamat Mendel is Leil's border. Dear Leil's border. When you say about if the Stalki Korda Kuchbrich Bukhulom, Kish Mavarbaman, the Mashkas of Bukhulom, Manakabana Madregas, Ursula Bukhulom, Beshabe, Shazama Dragon Alice, but the Kus Eris have Kolonish, May Bukhulom as Beshavam, Shach Khairza, Boif Shenikra, Bishemi Stalkus, Stala, Kapitish can who, Shamshach by from the Ishkan Ladalel, Hashim Shich, Mashkinum Zeslamata, and the Shmtzad, he Yoiso, save Kolom, Merid by Shalmaki. So, bottom line is that every Yid has that a mitzvah to bring the Shechina back into the earth and to make a Dida B'Tachtonim. And the Zohar says that how is it that the Yid makes it, the Eibishter's glory should be revealed in all the worlds, is through Iskafia, Vishapcha. Iskafia means to break the spirit of the Sitracha, and Ishapcha means to turn it around. It's Betoich, as the Chazal say, Betoich Kol doesn't say Betoichoi, which means the base of Mikdash. Betoicham, Betoich Kolach Ve'echad, Avalik in Yezel, Boifim V'adeh, says a Mishkan of Mikdash. Midigim Umetez V'dvarim Gashrim Shavam Mazatach, and V'noitzel Shatziv says a Mishkan of Yadeh Moshe Rabbeinu. Hariu Ba'atz Mishtata B'zavat Sheyakom, so Mishkan of Sedav Ketem Moshe Rabbeinu Ba'atz Moi, V'dei Nasi Iker Shechina Mishchanta B'tachtoinim is Ma Moshe. וגם בכל הזמן של האחר זה מעבר במים ממש המשכן הוי מעצה שיתם שמעת נעשה הקרושם כמו שפסו בסיס הקרושם למשכן עצה שיתם שיתם לא שנתיר שנויתם בדרך היושר דרך השם נעשה צדוק ומשפט כשנויתם בדרך היושר אזי נעשה זה שטוס דליום הזה והאבוידה היא להפך לעצם זה עצה שיתם עצה שיתם שמעצם קרושם למשכן קרש הוא איסיוס שקר ודאיזה שמהפכים את הצירופים נעשה משקר הצירף דקרש קרושים שמם נעשה מקדש שבו שייכן הקדוש ברוך הוא. He said that the Mishkan was built from Atzei Shittim. And what did they do from the Atzei Shittim? They made Kroshim. Shittim is Maloshin Shtus. Eini shoyre vaveda elim kein nichnus baruach Shtus. Because Shittim means to go off. When a person, they tzahora, b'tchilo emelo yasei kach, v'achkach emelo yasei kach, ad sho'emelo leich, do the worst avedas. So, the Yid has to take, instead of having the shtus of this world, there's all kinds of things that people do in this world that are shtus. They're silly, but people do it because everyone does it. Because the Joneses do it and the Goldbergs do it. So a Yid has to do shtus of kedusha. He's doing things in kedusha. In a way, it's a little shtus. It's crazy. It's over the top, but he's doing mitzvah in that way. And same thing, and taking the sheker from the world and making krosh on the Mishkan. It's basically no, Zion mit Benetzach connect the mites and it's fan of Ham had double t-shirt, not the Baruch from Khus the Arati came al Khus the Raki. Kim Shalamail Mesod is mid the Sanach and I did a Ramanag give you a little Kainasa King Gamba Mel Bas of Dunker. She is the Mishaloch and I can connect them as said it as mid Sanach and Satisman Sanach and Bagashini Muslagam and Megalasa Koichus. Sachin Alomim, what you should say, Nitzia Hamanagam Nevazos Amalachas Koloitis, Shishim, it's a shirt over about, maybe it's over Avois of Hamalachim, but it's a living Koremet Lakokar, Shlu Rakshin Mevaz, versus an Aloshin Mishtamjam Kolas Shafila, Lushes of Tamayin, Roya, Afo, Pichain, Kashem, and Sacham Satin Yamanagam and Labs do, Lloyd Action Makalas, it's all action Mishtamjam Melashum Mevaz, sizes of my some of the Kid Hal Bishwal and Shachal, Shades of Mahomet for Latin Sachan Shin and Sachan Melach, while there is a Banimshal Shench, Nama Oitz, the Ain Say Baruchushim, can stem the Holstein. Hey, Kalmanian Deutsche Shire Shmaim Chinis is a Malchus Madrex now the Yates of Dates and meeting Krimish maybe Behem, Shamash Betekuni Zoy, really suffer the Malamala and Ketlamata Mata and Tachli. Oits and Amitovits and Little Halansham Alhamasham Kolach and Yisrael Nikapshim Civisation, Mosh Kosoba Pasha Academics, be bets me to call Civisation, and it's when Civis same Befsham they saw gets me a drama, she yates Mahosh Golas Lagul Nas and Tzok and there in Safshanim Shakmaskala Mata Mata and Tachlis. So let me explain what we had in the size. First, I want to give an introduction, a story of the Alter Rebbe. There was in the Vilna, there was a Yid, there was a rich man. His name was Meir. His father was Meir of Falls. Shabbos, Friday night, after the Kabbalah Shabbos, he's walking home and he sees the two Yidden still sitting in shul. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. Where you from? Where you staying? I'm staying in Airbnb. Okay, so we having the meal. We already went to Pomegranate and we bought some stuff. So I come to my house, Asuda. Carlos, I guess, yeah. So they okay, fine. They came. He insisted they came to his house. The mayor noticed that the Suda, his people were very torut. They were very preoccupied. Their minds were elsewhere.
Something bothered them.
Something bothering them. But after the Suda, he asked if they could stay for a few minutes. He says, I see that you guys are in trouble. Something's bothering you. What is it? Maybe I could help you. They said, you can't help us. But it's true. We're in a very difficult situation. But there's nothing you can do. They said, please, I said, okay, we'll tell you what the story is. The contractors, and they were doing government work, and they were falsely accused of stealing money from the Russian government. Big sin. They say it was all trumped up charges. So they spoke to certain lawyers, and the lawyers said, it's
a lost case.
Yeah. So they're on the way to Petersburg to see maybe they could find a better lawyer, or maybe they could find an eitzah. The mayor says, I want to tell you a story. A couple of months ago, a woman came here. She didn't have where to stay. My wife had a rachmana. She stayed in our house. She's here for a week, 2 weeks. What can we do for you? Why are you here? She's looking for a husband, Shanaguna. So what makes you think he's in Vilna? The Lioshna Magid, the Alter Rebbe told me to go here and I'll find my husband. He said, Mishigas. The woman's very insistent. She's waiting there and said, okay. A few days pass and he gets a call from the police. He was an Askan. He had good connections here and there and everywhere. And the police knew him very well. And they caught a couple of criminals. And one of them was a Jew. So they wanted him to come and figure out what he wanted to do. He meets the criminal. He's not a local. He's a Yid. Emes, he's a Yid. And he, for some reason, something rings a bell. The way the woman described her husband, this guy fits the bill. He's a chutzpah. You left your wife and aguna. Mela, you're a criminal. They're a criminal. How do you know? So he realized right away that it was a true story. He said, okay, listen, the story is very simple. I have good connections here. You could be free. Or you could stay here. You'll stay here for a while. You'll enjoy it here. So if you want to go free, you have to come with me to the Beis and give her a get so she's not a naguna. Then we come back here. You'll be free in no time. Okay, guys, masking. He asks the police, they should escort him to the Beis shtibel, gets the wife to come. He gives a get, they go back, and he makes sure that they send them free. He says, I don't know if it's a fluke or something, but I'm just telling you a story. So maybe kedai that you go to Liozna on your way to Petersburg. They went to Liozna, came to the Alter Rebbe. They told him the problem. The Alter Rebbe said, I want to ask you a question. Gemara says, Nanda Baruch is Malchus Adare, came Malchus Derekia. What's the pshat? So I see your Tamid Chachamim. What's the pshat? They came to ask him a pshat and a psamedish and Sachel Brachas. Their life is on the line. Okay. So they shrug their shoulders. The Alter Rebbe continues. Pshat is like this. Just like in Malchusa Derakia, you can't say Hashem's name. We spoke about it the other day. Even G-O-D, people don't realize how serious it is. You're not allowed to say Hashem's name. You're not allowed to say Hashem's name. Yeah, vein. Versteht sie? Mitzvah. To Meshabeh Hashem Hashem. Person b'simchas leiv, shechionu b'shem u'malchus. For sure, if he's really happy, not mipnei animus. Not mipnei animus, mipnei, because be'emes, he has simchas alev and he's happy and he feels appreciation, not because everyone's saying it. Huh? Same thing. If it's something which is
Say another word, it's a GOSH, also in Hashem.
whatever.
G, in Hashem. Slang with it.
Right. So yeah, versteht sich if it's a shalom l'tzoyrech. Versteht sich l'tzoyrech. Verkehrt, it's a mitzvah to be to say a shvuah b'shem Hashem is a mitzvah. So the Alter Rebbe continued. The Alter Rebbe said, "B'malchusa de'ada, it's that way. That when you meet the Melech, you don't call him by his name. Call him Your Royal Highness. You don't say Pavel Shmavel, whatever the names of the Kesarim in Russia was. Nikolai, Pavel, whatever. You don't call them by their name. You call them by Loshen Shel Kavod. Okay. Very nice. They didn't come for this shtickle Torah. But that was it. The Alter Rebbe didn't say anymore. They left. They were very disappointed. Got to Petersburg. And someone told them, there is a minister of justice. He's a fine man. But there's no way you're going to get to talk to this guy. But every morning he walks in a garden in the middle of the city. Beautiful garden. And maybe you can be meshached the guard, and they'll let you into the garden, and speak to him. Maybe you go straight to the top. So they did so. Meshached the guard, and they went and they waited in the garden. And when they saw a person, they thought he's they walked over, introduced them. They told them right away the story, and that these are trumped up charges. Nechaf mipesha. Sorry, gentlemen. Yeah, you must be talking to the wrong person. I have nothing to do with the Ministry of Justice. Yeah. Sorry, I feel bad. You're talking. Looks like you're nice people. The story sounds true, but I'm not the person you're looking for. Okay. I said sorry. Venture. Sorry. They said sorry. Okay. They made a mistake. And he turns around and he says, let me ask you a question. I'm in the cabinet of the Tsar, and the Tsar recently asked me a question. He was reading that in the Jewish Talmud it says Malchusa de'ada came Malchusa de'rekia, that the Malchus in this world is similar to the word heaven. What does that mean? So they said, "We'll tell you exactly what it means." They told him what the Alter Rebbe said. He was very impressed. He said, "It sounds like a very good pshat." He said, "You know what? I'll tell the Tsar the pshat, and since you did me a favor, I'll do you a favor. I'm good friends with the Minister of Justice. I'll talk to him. I see this is just a baba maisa. I'll talk to him. Kachava. In a few days, the whole case gevaran ois, shredded, finished." So when they went back home, they traveled through Vilna. They told the mayor the story. The mayor became a chosed of the Alter Rebbe. That's the story. Anyway, in this Maimah, the Alter Rebbe says that the Frierdiker Rebbe says that one of the things we see in this world about Malachim Dafka, another Kotan, if you tell them this and that. If they tell a psago in the street this, he'll get angry. He'll give you a kolola mishalashis. But it's nothing. But on Adam Godel, we see Befrat HaMelech, we see the teva is that there's one red hot button. It's called Midas HaNetzach. We see the history of the whole world in that way. That certain malachim, everything was nice and good, but all of a sudden when
Putin.
What does I like Mr. Putin? All of a sudden you press the button, Midas and it's off. Blah blah blah. He can mama spend money, send armies, stupid to go into a project, mevazvez, unbelievable oitziris, put their life in danger, their whole army in danger, everything. What's going on? There's a couple of drunken Ukrainians in the next country. Your country is not big enough. But that's the way it is. Midas and Atzachem, you press that button, pshee, red hot. Machusa da'ara came machusa d'rekia. The Eibishter is a zabazach. That in order to help the Yidden, because the Eibishter wants to be menatzeach in this war, that the Yidden should be menatzeach, the Yidden are the Anshe Achayel. So the Eibishter is mevazves alle oitzeres of the Yidden. Just like the Gashmis and the Moshel, that the Melech is mevazves all his oitzeres in order to win the war. Because why do you have to win the war? Why do you have to go into the war? So the Eibishter wants that the Yidden should Anshe Achayel, the Tzivus Hashem, should be the Menatzeach, the Muhammad Sayyetze, and therefore is Mavazvaz all the Oitzeres, and he gives it to the Anshe Achayel. In the Ma'amid, the Frierdiker Rebbe says, what's the Oitze from the Eibishter? So he brings that Tikkun Zohar says that Kuchabrichu Iyu, Maila Maila Aden Kates, Mata Mata Aden Tachlis. So what does it mean, Maila Maila Aden Kates? And what does it mean, Mata Mata Aden Tachlis? So here, in this Ois, Yud Gimel, the Maimon talks about that. What does it mean, Mata Mata Aden Tachlis? That there is, and he goes through that there's Mata Mata, and then he talks about also by human beings that there's the concept of a human being which is Mata Mata, that reflects how the Oilamist is like this Gama Oilam Nosam Belibam. So he describes, and we learned about it 2 weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago on the Tuesday night. There's a person that is depressed and he's brokenhearted. And get me the nazar up. What's with the nazar up? Why was he upset? Because he's a failure in life. Someone swindled him. Someone tricked him, and he's upset. Why are you upset? You know, so the Frierdiker Rebbe, why he's upset? Why he's depressed? Because when he was successful, he thought that he was he thought that he was a big chevraman, and he's the most shrewd chevraman on the block, and he versteht and efes, and he figured out, and that's why he's successful. Now that he's failed, so he's upset. Where's his wisdom? His wisdom is failing him. And when he was successful, he knew that it's from the Eibishter. He wouldn't be so depressed right now. It's not his fault. It's nothing to do with him. Because he was so proud of himself when he was successful. Now he's so broken that it looks to him like he's failing. But the truth is that it's the Eibishter. That's the klipa pare. Pare is like the Novi says, Yo'or li v'ani asisini. That he knows this. That the result says the worst is the Yodeas Rabbeinu Macham Limrid boy. That a person that knows the Eibishter and still is a merid against the Eibishter. Okay, this later he talk about in the Maimon. Here the Rebbe is going to ask a question. He's going to ask a question. We find in Pnimius HaTorah, in Medrashim, in the Zohar HaKodesh, Sifrei Musar, in the magnum opus of Kabbalah, the Eitz Chaim, there's two full shiurim. There's two full shiurim in the Eitz Chaim. There's two shiurim which are Shar Mem Ches, which is Shar HaKlippus, and Shar Mem Tes, which is Shar Klippus Noiga. And the Zohar Pashabiku, the 20 pages, all about the Klippus. Who needs to know about the Klippus? Why is it relevant for me and you to know the Yid is learning Zohar HaKodesh, right? I learn about Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Abba, about their Kedusha, the different Torahs they said. Well, what's Nageya? 20 pages about Klippus. What's Reb Chaim Vital spending 2 whole Sha'orim talking about, one about the regular clip and the other the Klippus Noiga, and all the details of it and so much. Well, what's Nageya? What's Nageya? Here in the Maimer, the Rebbe says, And same thing in the Smaim, and a lot of times in Musa Svarma, in this Maimer, he talks about Mata Mata, that there's that in the oilimus that could be that the so low oilimus that are so low until like the klipa paroi that he's arrogant and he says li oiri vania sisini and he's there and there's human beings that wasn't a gaya. So three mahalchim he says in the Maimon. Number one, let's me did a lot of mizabeiraisa. Chazal say stakel beiraisa bora alma. As I state in the Zohar, they should look in the Torah. He when he looked in the world, he's like an architect. Stakel beiraisa bora alma. So he wants it to. That's obvious. The Eivisher wanted to start. Second, they wanted to give the Eden the koyach to purify the klipa. The Baal Shem Tov says a beautiful word. Sur merav asatoy. What's sur merav asatoy? Simple pshat is sur merav. Go away from doing bad stuff. Asatoy, good, do good stuff. Baal Shem Tov said no. No, sur merav. That's the first step. Second step is asayes harav atzmo ilatoy. Sur merav. That's the first thing. But then asayes harav atzmo ilatoy, like the Gemara says in Menachem, a story. Talmud Rabbi, he heard that there's a Zoyna Bekarchi Hayam, and she is the top Zoyna from all the Zoynas, and she charges 400 zuhuvim. And he sent her 400 zuhuvim, and they made an appointment. And he came in the day, the Shivcha of the Zoyna came in, she said, the man that sent you the 400 zuhuvim is here for his appointment. So she said, but she came, and the Zoyna had set up she set up 7 mitos, one on top of the other, one higher than the other. Sheish shel kesef, and the shviz shel zohov, and she had sheets on the vashetzach. It's not comfortable to be on a mito shel kesef shel zohov. It was just for fanciness, but she had sheets and comfortable korim ukselsus. And she got up there, without begodim. That was Poshet as Begodov. And this guy also started to get undressed. The tzitzis is Tov Chalai Alponov. And as soon as the tzitzis is Tov Chalai Alponov, he remembered that he's a Yid. And it's also for him to sleep with a Goya. It's also. So he stopped. So she got upset. She said, Mamun Matzah Sabi. First of all, she told him there's no refunds. I'm kidding. She said there's no refund. And then she said, Mamun Matzah Sabi. He said, Avoid loy matzah isha yofa kamoisech b'chol olam kuloi. But he said, mitzvah achetz yesh lanu. And that's a edus. It's a edus, and it's a edus. The Eibishter gave us a edus, and this came to say edus to me. That's why the tzitz is one of my favorite to remind me I'm a yid and I'm not allowed to do this aveda. The Eibishter said not. So she wrote down his name and his address, everything, and then she went after he left, and she sold her nechosim. A third of the money she gave to the government. Why the government? Because in Rome, in the old days in Rome, the znus was a very big business for them, as we know from the Gemara of Shum Beyachai. So he said, what do you think? They're building cities and they're building roads. And if you go today to the south of Italy, and there's a city they discovered in the 70s, Pompeii, which was a city that was Romans, and short time after the Churban Beis HaMikdash, that they were macher the Beis HaMikdash, Beis HaLakenu, there was this unbelievable volcano that killed the entire city, Bavas Achas. So they came and they did excavations on it. It was an unbelievable thing. So they had the people died instantaneously. So the goof of all of these thousands of people already went a scalpel, but the lava didn't move for 2,000 years. So the lava is there, so one of the people there, one of the chief excavators, came up with a gewaltige hamtzah that any time they found a place where it seemed like a person, there's some bones. So before they excavated it, they pumped in foam. They pumped foam, and then they excavated it. And they have hundreds. If you go there today, I was there many years ago. I was there. I was on a Cholamoy trip when I went to visit my bubby in Paris. So they left over there. You have hundreds of people. You have in different positions. They're sitting like this, or they're sitting like this. You see a whole person. It's out of foam, but that's the real form of the person with the expression on the face with here, because the lava was on the person. The person died. No.
Even
And-
now the government never.
No, they're not the bones. They buried, but the foam they put in different. Not every piece of, but the different places they have the original place. You have a few people that are like rolling over like this. They're like it's like this. You see a foam. You see their face. You see their eyes. Mamish come out the expression on the face because the lava was pressed on them. So you have the people are there. People are
tourist attraction.
it's a tourist attraction. Sure, it's
Bunch of Mason. I mean,
it's interesting. So it was fascinating. I was there as a kid. And I remember the tour guide explained that every Roman city, there was from the marketplace, there is arrows showing you where the Beis Hazoinus is. So just in case you might not know, and maybe the Shem sich zu fragen. So there every 2 feet there is a sign on the rocks. It's chiseled in the rocks, showing you with an arrow where the Beis Hazoinus is. 2 blocks there, and you turn and you go. And the Beis Hazoinus was a very fancy place with paintings on the wall. It's 2,000 years old. It's preserved like this. And there was still one zoner with a plate of pasta there from 2,000 years ago. The plate of pasta, given mitnes and pasta. Versteht sich. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. So, just like today, some governments make a lot of money from gambling. It's a whole shiloh. You do it, you're not doing it. But the Romans, to them, znus was a very big business. So the Zoina would pay chelik from her proceeds. So, like in Pompeii, the government ran the Beis Hazoinus. So there's like you come in and there's like a front desk. It's crazy. It's 2,000 years and it's preserved like
now.
But like now, it was maybe a year. These are people that were machir of the Beis Hamikdash. And you go there and you see from as soon as you get into the center of the city, signs every 2 feet. And you walk to the Beis Hazoinus. It's a big impressive. Yeah, and there's the shirt. And you come into the Beis Hazoinus. It's like frozen in time. It's the front desk. They just don't have a credit card thing. That's the only thing they're missing. You know, the thing that you put on. The credit card comes in the desk, but otherwise there's like a front desk and there's a lot of little rooms around business. And it was run by the government. So she wants to go out of the business. The government is not going to be so happy. They're making money. So she took a shlish of all her money and she gave it to the government that she could go. And then a shlish she gave to poor people for tzedakah. And a shlish she put in her pocket. And also the sheets she rolled up in a bag and she traveled to Eretz Yisrael. When she came to Eretz Yisrael, she found the Beis Medrash of Rabbi, and then the Beis Medrash of Rabbi, Rabbi was megayed her and married her off to his Talmud. The Gemara says that the night they got married, Matzah sheitzi aloi beiser, itzi aloi beheter. That those sheets she put on the bed that night. So, what's the Gemara making such a big deal? And what's if she'd gone to Walmart that night, or she ordered Amazon Prime and she got up a sheets, or she went to Borough Park and she bought the chveis from Linen Galore? I don't know whatever name. What's the name of the Elegant linen. From elegant. If you went to Bar Park and bought some elegant linen. So what's anafkamina? What's the name? Elegant. Oh yeah. What's anafkamina to go to Avenue M to so the Chassidus says this is the union of Sur Meira v'Asei Toiv. Not only was first he was Sur Meira, he went away from doing the Aveda, and then because he did it like it was hard, and he did it so that was made that the Ra itself became Toiv, that the Nitzitz Toiv that was in the Zoyna turns out she was really and she was Megayat, and Oisa Matzir Shetzila Behitra Isur Itzila Beheter. So
They had any kids? The Gemara said.
the Gemara doesn't say about that. The Gemara doesn't.
She was
That
young.
was Rav Udoy, but that's a different.
It doesn't say. No. It doesn't say the name. It doesn't say the name of the Talmud. The Pashas, the Talmud, the Gemara.
That's a different Ma'aseh. That he got all of Haba in one shot. That's a different story.
Different story.
Died.
No, that's a different thing. This guy lived. This guy got married. He lived. So the Rebbe brings here a beautiful Torah from the Maggid. The Maggid said in the Pasha, it says that the Eibush said that he's going to make he's going to do three more makkos in the Mitzinim. Laman shisi oisoisa ele v'kirba, u'laman tesaper ba'oznei binchu ben mincha eis asher yisalalti b'Mitzrayim v'soisoisa shesamti bom. The Eibush says that 3,300 years later, the kids are going to come to the Seder and they're going to laugh about the frogs here, frogs there, a pair of pajamas in the middle of the night, and the kids will be so. What's the pshat? What's the pshat? That's unbelievable Torah from the Maggid. Oisoisa means Meloshem Oisius Shali. There's the Torah, Rabbi Talansky. Paro still had a few oisius in the Tzutzas Kedusha in his pocket. If we would have finished in Pashas Vayda, it would have been only 7 makkos. The Torah would have been shorter. The Eibishter wanted the Torah to be longer. It should be a few more stories. The Eibishter gesagt, Laman shisi oisoise eila, ich hab etliche oisius still to take out of Mitzrayim. I did such a funny Torah. The Maggid also once said that why does Lavan chasing after Yaakov? Because he told him, you were here to purify me, but there's a few oisius Torah that's missing. If he didn't run after him, we would have Choser Pasha Achal Shabbat. So he's running after him to give him one more parsha in the Torah. You left behind one more parsha in the Torah. That sounds like such a funny Torah. Like, who would think of such a funny? I mean, you hear Chassidish Torahs, but like, who would think of such a funny Torah? But the Maggid was not. Maggid was a Gaon Otzum. If you look at the Talmidim of the Maggid, there were Gaonim Atzumim, 120 Talmidim. We're talking about Gaonei Eretz. So obviously, there's something very deep over here. So the Rebbe says like this. That we find the Alter Rebbe and the Mittel Rebbe say that when he wants to know the Eibishter, you have to not stop think about the greatness. You have to think about the protum of prote. And we find that the Tzemach Tzedek, the Marash say, he b'shalach paris om. The Zohar says that the Pari, he himself was involved in taking out the Netzutz Kedusha. Like Moshe Rabbeinu said, Gam ata titem biyadenu oilus zvochem. That the ultimate is that Pari itself should so like this. Before I wrap it up, the Rebbe has one more nakuda. The Rebbe says we find that the Torah says it's also to read about Avodah Zarah. It's also Al Tifna Lilim and the Rama Paskins. You're not allowed to go to Barnes and Nobles and buy books. People think it's a joke. You read about these religions and this. There's even a yeshiva university, Rahman al-Islam, that has a guy. He's a from Yid. He writes books, and he's an expert in religions. You're not allowed to.
How do you refute, in the debate with God? You have to know.
Those all need to know. Those are the Yisrael need to know.
That's what.
Lahavinu lahorot. Not lahavin ech lasot. Lahavin ech lahorot. Right. But not to be a professor and not to be a. Okay. So I'm just. I mean.
Says that Avodah Zarah, they're not worshipped.
But another thing is that the Mefarshim say that if you're learning it in the Torah, like you're learning Moilach and you're learning in the Torah, Rashi, the Ibn Ezra, the Radak, the Gemara, you're learning the Rashi, the Tosas, that's not Bachlala Isur. That's not Bachlala Isur. So we see from here a Dvar Pella, an interesting Chidush, that even though you're not allowed to learn about the Zohar, but when you're learning it in Torah, it's different. So the Rebbe says, Yesh Loimer, it's such an unbelievable pshat, that the Eibishter wants that the Yidden should purify the Netzutz's Kedusha. Mata, Oirin Sof, Mata, Adein Tachlis, in the lowest place, a Yid has to bring Kedusha. But how could you expect a Yid to go to such a low place? Alter Vein and L'Dein Soyan. So the Rebbe says, we find the words from the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe said, it says that the Yidden work b'chaymer b'leveinim. And Chazal say in the Zohar, v'chaymer dokal v'chaymer b'leveinim do hilibud hilchasa. Manshmit hilchasa. Well, what's the Zohar trying to say? What's the Zohar saying? The Zohar is saying, the Alter Rebbe is an unbelievable thing, that sometimes it's nigza Yid to be in Golus. We're all in Golus. We're in Flatbush. We're not. This is Golus, Rabbi say. So sometimes it's nigza Yid Chas v'sholem to work b'chaymer b'leveinim. You know what a Yid could do? A trick? Instead of that, he should work very hard, b'kal v'chaymer b'liben hilchasa, and that will exchange. Instead of Chas v'sholem working hard b'chaymer b'leveinim, he'll work b'liben hilchasa. He can't figure out the sugya, and he's breaking his head to figure out the sugya b'liben hilchasa, and that's instead of b'chaymer b'leveinim. So the Rebbe Zohar, Yesh Loimar, that's what the Zohar HaKodesh. And the Reb Chaim Vital and Eitz Chaim wrote Barichas. The Yid is going to learn about Ashar, about Klippe and Klippes Neuge and all the details and the Protim and the Protim. What's in the Geya? Because through that, the Yid is going to learn it, that he won't have to go there, Chas v'Sholom, and having the Soyan and to purify. But the Etzem Limud HaTorah, when he learns the Zohar about the Klippe and the Klippes Neuge, and we learn in Kabbalah about the Klippe, and that's time he learns it. He learns it 20 pages, 2 shiurim, protim. He learns it well. He learns it through the Sugya. So instead of Chas v'Sholem, him being thrown into a dark dungeon of Nisyonis and being tested, these Nisyonis, he won't be tested because he already did his job. Why would a Yid have an Asayan? Because he has to go into the darkest place and to prove that there's the Eibishter there. But if the Yid already opened the Zohar HaKodesh and learned in the Zohar, so it's just like we say, instead of B'chaymer b'leveinu b'chol avodah b'soda, he can learn Kal v'chaymer and Liben Hilchasa. Instead of Chas v'Sholem a Yid being thrown into terrible Nisyonis, he could learn in the Torah, in the Zohar HaKodesh about it, and then be spared all those Nisyonis. It's unbelievable mahalach. That's why we find in the Zohar HaKodesh and the Eitz Chaim should tell us about it. So we should learn it from the Torah. We shouldn't Chas v'Sholem have to encounter these nisyonis. We learn it Meshapota Gevonim. Just by learning it in the Torah, we're already potter for all these nisyonis. So the Eibishter Helfen that came to Yalonu, that through that we spent tonight, that we learned this beautiful Maimah Basi Legani, and we learned about how terrible it is for a person to be arrogant and be mata, like this attitude of Pari, that to say that instead of saying Birchas Hashem Itasher, the Koiche Ve'odzi Yodei, that Chas v'Sholem we should never have this nisayon in our life. That we should always realize that Yad Hashem is in everything, and Birchas Hashem Itasher, and just the fact that we learned about it in Torah is already good enough that we should never have to have any of these nisyonos. That we should already we should win this war against the Yetzer Hara, and we should come to the time when David should sheikhet the Yetzirah, Chobnei Yisrael ha'orim b'mishvoisam, Yivnei Yisrael yotzim b'yadroma, the Mashiach tzedkena b'gula mitzvahs hashlema, b'meiri b'meinu mamash.
Okay.
Amen.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Peretz, you have one guy coming?
Yeah, okay, very good.
9 people.
We have 9, we got, we're there.
Yeah, David, we need you for the minion.
David, you want to step over for the minion?
I'd be happy to say amen, but I already
Okay.
davened, but.
Oh, you're diving already?